So do you think that the the movie is finally going to reach an audience that is going to forgive Mel for everything that he's done?
I have no idea. I don't think forgiveness is what we're looking for. I think you're hoping that you can have an artistic experience where you can see what somebody does on screen and judge that for what it is. His personal life has nothing to do with what he does on screen, except, of course, that he brings the whole host of everything that he's lived to every character, like we all do. I personally, as I say to Mel, look, I'm happy to see you in your underwear, but I'm not interested in seeing you in your underwear against your will. That's just not something that I'm interested in. I don't want to have my life or anybody's life that I care about dragged through the internet. We all have struggles, and his struggles are, I hate to say it, not that unusual. They just happen to be publicized.
We have the right to some privacy too, don't we?
Yeah. But he's somebody that the man that I know is amazingly talented, amazingly giving, incredibly loyal as a friend, and is probably the most beloved person on any movie set that I've ever met. I mean, you'd be hard-pressed to find.
That's a whole other aspect of this. I mean, that's an interesting point because we all know, anyone who's been in Hollywood a really long time, we talk to crew, we know who likes who. We know who, Sandra Bullock. People like Sandra Bullock.
People love Sandy, yeah.
People,
I love Sandy.
People like Jodie.
Yeah.
People who behave well, people who are good people who have good values on a movie set. We all know that. We all know that. And you're right about that. That's true of Mel. Yeah. And it's been true of a lot of the, we all get to know people over the years, and we know who's a good person on, just in terms of dealing with them.
That's right.
But
yeah, that's right. And anyways, I mean, I am really grateful to his performance on screen. It's just he brought so much to it, and so much pain to it. Really, there's so much pain in that character, and I think he laid it all out there, and I will always be grateful for that. And I think that he knows. Maybe, I don't know, but I think maybe he was able to do that because he knows that he could trust me and that I would never betray his trust.
But some of the stuff that was going on at the very end of this shooting process. So you actually were aware of some of what was going on. And he was aware.
Yeah. We definitely through certainly the end, the reshoot part of the film. There was probably the acme of his worst struggles.
And he delivered anyway.
For me to put your arms around somebody you care about and to watch them go through that. Yeah.
As the director in this situation, you were really sensitive to what the actors needed without imposing a lot of style on them.
Right.
Would you explain what your aesthetic was? Because I actually think this is, in many ways, the leanest and most disciplined of all your films. But you didn't get away of the story you were telling.
Yeah. Well, it does have a very strong signature style to it. It's a very classic style, and widescreen, anamorphic lenses, all of these things that help the phenomenon of having two people on camera all the time, the puppet and Mel. But also gives it a much more prosaic, poetic quality to it. In some ways, it's very European. It's very blue. It has a formality to it. The music has a formality to it. It's dance, Argentinian tango and a waltz, very European sensibility to a very American story. And
suburban.
Yeah,
high school
American.
Coming of age.
Exactly, and I think that's something that I've always been drawn to. It was true of Little Man Tate as well. That's a quintessential Louis Malle movie transposed into an American story. I do tend to do that, but I do think that the style, I hope that my style never overwhelms the story of the film, and that that the story dictates the style of the movie and not the other way around. So I feel like there is a lot of style in the film, but that it supports the film that I'm trying to tell, and it doesn't get in the way of the actors. I wanted this film, in order to get to the end result of what I was looking for, so I kept saying to Mel, is I want to get to that last scene, or a part of the last scene where the puppet looks at him and says, "I love you, and no one else will ever love you the way that I love you, and that's why I'll never let you go back." That I wanted that to be the biggest, most beautiful love story moment with no laughter at all, and I wanted that to be, the kind of scene that brings tears to your eyes. and to have it be told by a puppet, of course, completely absurd. In order to do that, you have to build the audience. You have to build the audience through the drama from the beginning, and you can't start doing silly crane shots and whip pans and CGI eyes and big fat fish eye lens close-ups on the puppet. And there was a real temptation to do that, and there was a lot of me protecting the movie from that. Yes.
You were fighting with yourself.
Well, not necessarily with myself, but there definitely, I definitely had to stand my ground and say I'm making a drama, and I know what it takes to make a drama, and I don't want to, mess it up from the beginning by going for the cheap shot.
Now, the other person, I mean, Anton Yelchin is terrific. I think we've discovered that in the past, although we haven't seen him do this. Jennifer Lawrence proves that she's not a one-shot here.
Jennifer Lawrence is great in the film. I'm so lucky to have her, and I had seen Wintersbone, or parts of Wintersbone, so I knew how great she was. And that particular part in our film, Nora, the character in our film, was so difficult to cast. I saw hundreds of girls, and once I found Jennifer, I said, she's the one I want, and I want to rewrite the whole part for her.
How did you rewrite it?
Well, in the original, she could do everything well. She was beautiful. She was smart. She had all this banter, which I took out, and she was an incredible artist. And she was entirely self-knowledgeable, psychobabble person. Could tell you everything about your psyche. And I just thought it was much more interesting to have somebody who had all of this pain and had absolutely no idea how to handle it at all, and was unable to be expressive and unable to really lay claim to it at all. And I thought that made for an interesting, almost like a shadow, issues that she had with Anton's character, who can do only that. He's the guy who can give voice to all of that pain, and yet hasn't really lived anything tragic in his life.
Can you describe what the quality is that Jennifer brings as an actress? Because there is something really unusual about her.
I think she has this. It's almost like a lifetime of pain that she's lived in another lifetime that comes out through her face. And let me tell you something, Jennifer Lawrence is a funny person. There's no tragedy happening with Jennifer Lawrence. I mean,
the disconnect between
fun,
the person
loving,
you meet is
Kentucky
huge.
girl, laughing, joking girl, and yet she has this thing that just comes out in her face, and she just can't help it,
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Cheers.